He bought her with the same cold efficiency he used for land and livestock. £30. A practical transaction on a sweltering Virginia afternoon. But when her eyes met his across that auction yard, something shifted. Something he couldn't name, and she couldn't afford to trust. She was meant to be silent, invisible, owned. Instead, she became the mirror that shattered every lie he'd told himself about the blood-soaked fortune he'd inherited. Their proximity bred danger. Every stolen glance risked the whip. Every whispered truth threatened ruin. In early 1700s tidewater plantations, some boundaries weren't meant to be crossed, but some souls refused to stay chained. If you feel the tension rising, subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. Edward Hale stood in the auction yard, heat pressing against his collar. The auctioneer's voice droned on. Numbers meant nothing. He needed workers. The tobacco wouldn't harvest itself. "Lot 47, the auctioneer called. A young woman stepped forward. Her head was high. Her eyes swept the crowd without fear or pleading. Edward felt something tighten in his chest. He ignored it. £20, he said. 25, another man called. Edward's jaw set. 30. The gavel fell. She was his. He told himself it was practical. She looked strong, healthy, useful. The ride back to the plantation stretched along. She sat across from him in the wagon, silent. Her stillness unnerved him more than tears would have. "You'll work in the house," he said. She didn't answer. Her gaze drifted to the passing trees. Edward shifted on the hard seat. "Do you understand English?" His voice was sharper than intended. "Yes." Her voice was low and clear. "Then answer when spoken to." I answered. Her eyes found his. Something shifted in her expression. Not defiance, not submission, recognition. Edward looked away first. He was angry. At her, at himself. The plantation appeared over the rise as dusk fell. Lamplight glowed in windows. Fields stretched dark and endless. His father had built this. His grandfather before that. Order, discipline, profit. "What's your name?" he asked. "Amara." He nodded. The wagon rolled through the gates. He told himself she was just another piece of property, just another tool. His hands gripped the reins, but he couldn't quite look away from her. Mama Lila led Amara through the quarters. The cabins stood in crooked rows. Smoke drifted from chimneys. Children's voices faded as they passed. "You sleep here," Mama Lila said. She pointed to a pallet in the corner. "Keep your head down." Amara nodded. She studied the space. 4 other women shared the cabin. They watched her with careful eyes. "The overseer?" Amara asked. "Josiah Cutter." Mama Lila's voice was flat. "He likes breaking things." Amara's stomach tightened. She had known men like that before. She would know them again. "And the master?" "Mr. Hale keeps his distance mostly." Mama Lila paused. "But distance ain't safety." Amara walked to the doorway. The big house loomed across the yard. Light spilled from tall windows. Laughter drifted on the evening air. White people's laughter. Free people's laughter. "What does he want from houseworkers?" she asked. "Obedience, silence, invisible hands that keep his world clean." Mama Lila touched Amara's shoulder. "You got healing knowledge?" "Some." "Good. Might keep you valuable. Might keep you breathing." The women settled onto their pallets. Conversation died to whispers. Amara lay down. The straw poked through thin fabric. Her body ached from the auction block, from hands that grabbed, from eyes that measured. Through the slats in the wall she could see the big house, Edward Hale's house, her master's house. "I won't disappear," she whispered to the darkness. No one answered, but she felt them listening. Edward descended the stairs as Margaret poured morning tea. Sunlight streamed through tall windows. The house smelled of bread and polish. "You bought another woman," Margaret said. Her voice was mild. "The house needs workers." Edward took his cup. "She has useful skills." "Does she?" He didn't answer. Josiah Cutter appeared in the doorway. Mud caked his boots. His smile was thin. "Morning, sir." Josiah nodded. "About the new arrivals." "Yes?" "Need to establish order quick. Breaking them improper prevents trouble later." Edward felt his jaw tighten. "Discipline is necessary. Cruelty is not." "Same thing, sir. Different words." Josiah's eyes were cold. "Your father understood that." The words landed like stones. Edward set down his cup. "My father is dead." "Yes, sir, but his methods kept this place profitable." Margaret stood. Her silk skirts rustled. "Mr. Cutter, the master will handle discipline as he sees fit." Josiah touched his hat. "Of course, ma'am." He left. Edward walked to the balcony. Below, workers moved through the yard. He spotted Amara carrying water. She moved with careful efficiency, never meeting eyes, never rushing, never stopping. "She's different," Margaret said quietly. "They're all different." His voice was sharp. "You know what I mean." He did. That was the problem. He watched Amara vanish into the shadow of the quarters. The morning suddenly felt oppressive. "Josiah suggests harsher measures for keeping order," he said. Margaret's breath caught. "And you?" Edward didn't answer. The silence stretched between them. The horse reared without warning. Edward grabbed for the reins. His boot slipped. He hit the ground hard. Pain exploded through his old war wound. Amara was there suddenly. She caught the horse's bridle, spoke low, soothing. The animal calmed. "Sir?" Her hand extended toward him. "I don't need help." He pushed himself up. His leg buckled. Her arms steadied him. Strong. Sure, others were watching. Josiah, field hands, Margaret from the porch. "Let go," Edward said. "You'll fall." Her voice was matter-of-fact. His pride burned. His leg screamed. He let her guide him toward the house. Each step was agony. Each step was humiliation. At the door, he jerked away. "That's enough." She stepped back. Her eyes found his. "The wound is old." "It's nothing." "It's infected. I can see it through your boot." Edward felt something tighten in his throat. "You see too much." "I see what's there." She turned, walked away, her back straight, her pace unhurried. Margaret appeared. "Edward, let me help you." I said I'm fine. But he wasn't. His leg throbbed. His chest felt heavy. He had needed help from a woman he insisted was property. The thought circled like a vulture. Inside, he collapsed into a chair. Sweat beaded his forehead. "She was trying to help," Margaret said. "She was overstepping." His voice was harsh. Margaret said nothing, but her expression spoke volumes. That night, Mama Lila found Amara washing at the pump. The yard was dark, quiet. "You helped him today?" Mama Lila said. "The horse would have bolted." "You touched him!" Mama Lila's voice dropped. "In front of everyone." Amara felt fear curl in her stomach. "I didn't think." "That's how you die here, not thinking." Mama Lila gripped her arm. "Helping the master looks like favoritism. Favoritism gets you sold." "Or worse." "I won't do it again." "See that you don't." Mama Lila released her. "Every act is watched. Every word is weighed. You understand?" "Yes." In the big house, Margaret found Edward in his study. He was pouring whiskey with shaking hands. "Your leg?" she asked. "It's fine." "Edward." Her voice was soft. "Why are you angry?" "I'm not." He drank. The burn steadied him. "You've been strange since the auction." Margaret sat. "Since you bought her." "Don't be ridiculous." "I'm your sister. I know when something troubles you. His eyes found hers. She's just another worker, Margaret. Then why can't you stop watching her? The silence hung between them. Edward turned to the window. Beyond the glass, darkness swallowed the quarters. Get some rest, he said. Margaret left. He remained at the window. The tobacco rose, stretched endlessly. Heat shimmered. Josiah Cutter walked between workers. His whip coiled in his hand. A boy stumbled, dropped leaves. Josiah was on him instantly. Clumsy fool, Josiah said. The whip uncoiled. Amara stepped forward. Sir, I dropped my basket. Josiah turned. His eyes narrowed. What? My basket. It rolled into his path. That's why he fell. She kept her voice level, her hands steady. I didn't see any basket. It's there. She pointed to a basket yards away. It could have rolled. It hadn't. But it could have. Josiah's jaw tightened. The boy scrambled up, grabbed his tools, ran. You're the new house girl, Josiah said. Yes, sir. House girls don't work the rows. I was delivering water. She met his eyes. Not defiant, not submissive. Careful. Edward's voice cut across the field. Cutter, what's the delay? Josiah's smile was cold. Just correcting mistakes, sir. Edward approached. Sweat darkened his shirt. What happened? The boy was careless. This one interfered. Edward looked at Amara. Something passed between them. Quick, electric, gone. Reduce the punishment, Edward said. We can't afford injuries before harvest. Sir? You heard me. Edward's voice was firm. Get back to work. Josiah's eyes found Amara's. The look promised retribution. She felt her chest tighten, but she didn't look away. Edward caught that look. Protection flared in him. Unwanted. Dangerous. He turned away before anyone could see. Midnight. Edward couldn't sleep. His leg throbbed. He descended to the kitchen, found Amara preparing herbs by candlelight. She looked up. Startled. Sir. What are you doing? His voice was rough. Making salve. For morning injuries. He watched her hands. Quick. Competent. You do this often? When allowed. The silence stretched. She returned to her work. He should leave. He stayed. Your leg troubles you, she said. It's old. Old wounds fester without care. She didn't look up. I could help. Why would you? Because pain is pain. She met his eyes. Even yours. Edward felt anger rise. You want favor. I want nothing. Her voice was sharp. But you're standing in my kitchen hurting. I know herbs, that's all. This isn't your kitchen. No, it's yours. Everything here is yours. She stood. Her breath caught. You paid for me at that auction. You brought me here. Now finish it. What? Decide what I am to you. Her eyes found his. A thing or a person? The words struck like fists. Edward's hands shook. His throat tightened. He wanted to shout, to deny, to run. Get out, he said. She left. Silent. Dignified. Gone. He stood alone in the kitchen. Her words repeated in his mind. Thunder rolled outside. Rain began. He couldn't escape them. Morning brought heavy skies. Edward found Margaret at breakfast. His face was drawn, his hands steady with effort. Amara will work in the house, he said. Margaret's spoon paused. In the house? She has useful skills, medical knowledge. She's wasted in the quarters. Edward? It's decided. His voice was final. Josiah appeared within the hour. His face was stone. Sir, about the new arrangements. Yes? Moving workers into the house without consultation disrupts order. I'm consulting you now. Edward's eyes were hard. She stays. Josiah's jaw worked. Yes, sir. In the quarters, Mama Lila helped Amara into a cleaner dress. Her hands trembled. This is dangerous, Lila whispered. I know. Proximity to him means protection, also means exposure. Amara nodded. She understood the mathematics of survival. Closer to power meant closer to both safety and destruction. "Watch yourself," Lila said. Amara walked across the yard. Eyes followed her. Whispers rose. She climbed the steps to the big house. Margaret waited in the doorway. Her smile was cautious, kind. "Welcome," Margaret said. Amara stepped inside. The entry hall stretched vast, clean, bright. Edward appeared at the top of the stairs. Their eyes found each other. The moment held. Neither looked away. Something shifted in his expression. Fear, recognition, want. Amara felt her chest tighten. This was not safety. This was a different kind of danger, one she didn't know how to name. Their lives were irreversibly entangled now. Days became routine. Amara polished silver at dawn, served at table, tended fires. Margaret allowed her a small room for preparing herbs. The work was endless but cleaner than the fields. Edward watched from doorways, from the stairs, from windows. He told himself he was ensuring efficiency. He knew better. She moved silently, but her presence filled spaces, changed them, made his careful order feel hollow. "You're staring again," Margaret said one afternoon. Edward turned from the window. "I'm not." "You are, at her." "Don't be absurd." Margaret set down her sewing. "What did she say to you that night?" His throat tightened. "Nothing important." "You're lying." In the fields, Josiah watched the big house. His resentment grew. Edward used to consult him, trust him. Now the master was soft, distracted, weak. "The master's gone soft," he told another overseer. "You see how he looks at that new girl? What of it? It'll be our ruin. Mark me." Josiah's voice was low. "Man forgets who's really keeping order here." Amara overheard from the vegetable garden. Her hands stilled. She felt danger gathering. Not immediate, but coming. Patient. Inevitable. That night she returned to her pallet. Mama Lila was waiting. "You've become a fulcrum," Lila said. "I know." "Do you?" Amara's breath caught. She did. She had become the space where power shifted, where Edward's control met its limit, where Josiah's authority was challenged, where everything could break. She just didn't know when. Margaret's favorite house servant child collapsed at supper. Fever blazed. The girl's mother wept. Panic rippled through the household. "Send for the doctor," Margaret said. "He's 2 days' ride," Edward said. His voice was tight. Amara stepped forward. "I can help." Margaret turned. Hope and doubt warred in her face. "You're certain?" "No, but I've seen this fever before." "And?" "Some lived." Amara's hands were steady. "I need herbs, cool water, time." "Do it," Edward said. The hours blurred. Amara crushed leaves, applied cloths, whispered words her mother had taught her. The child burned, thrashed, faded. Margaret sat nearby, silent, praying. Edward stood in the doorway. He watched Amara's hands. Gentle, sure, tireless. He felt something loosen in his chest. Admiration, respect, more. Near dawn, the fever broke. The child slept, breathing steady, color returning. Margaret's voice cracked. "We owe you," Amara shook her head. "You owe me nothing." "We do." Edward spoke from the shadows. Their eyes found each other. "We do." Amara stood. Exhaustion made her sway. She walked past him without speaking. Her shoulder brushed his arm. The contact burned. Margaret whispered, "What would we have done? Without her?" Edward couldn't answer. He stood in the doorway long after Amara disappeared, listening to the child's breathing, feeling the weight of debts that couldn't be paid with money. Morning sun slanted across the laundry yard. Mama Lila scrubbed beside Amara. Steam rose between them. You did good with that child, Lila said. She lived, that's all. It's more than that. You made yourself valuable. Amara's hands stilled. Value isn't safety. No, but it's armor. Lila's voice dropped. You see how he looks at you now? I see. And? I don't trust it. Amara felt fear curl in her stomach. A master's favor turns to fury quick. This one seems different. Seems. Amara's eyes found hers. Seems isn't real. Inside, Margaret found Edward in his study. He was staring at ledgers without seeing them. We should free that child someday, she said. His head snapped up. What? When she's grown, we could manumit her, as thanks. That's impossible. His voice was sharp. Why? The law doesn't allow it easily. Debt, contracts. He stood, paced. Don't speak of such things. But you've thought about it. Margaret's voice was soft. Haven't you? The silence stretched. Edward's jaw tightened, his hands clenched. Get out, he said. She left. He remained, staring at papers that outlined ownership, property, rights. His chest felt heavy. The idea Margaret planted wouldn't leave. It grew, spread roots, disturbed everything. Rain drummed against windows. Margaret invited Amara to the sitting room. Embroidery lay forgotten. Instead, Margaret wanted to learn. Tell me about the herbs, she said. Amara hesitated, then began. Willow bark for pain, yarrow for bleeding, chamomile for sleep. How did you learn? My mother. Her mother before. Amara's voice was quiet. Knowledge passes through hands. Margaret listened. Her respect grew with each word. She realized Amara's mind was sharp, quick, equal to any she'd known. You could have been a healer anywhere, Margaret said. Could have. Amara's smile was bitter. But I'm here. The words hung heavy. Margaret felt shame curl through her, the same shame Edward carried. Edward passed the open doorway, stopped, watched them, almost equals in conversation, almost friends. The sight unsettled him, made him jealous, made him admire his sister more. Amara caught his gaze. Something shifted in her expression. Wariness, curiosity, one she couldn't quite hide. He walked away, his chest tight, his mind churning. He's changing, Margaret said. People don't change. Amara returned to her herbs. They just show different faces. You don't believe that. I have to. Amara's breath caught. Belief without proof gets you killed. Margaret had no answer. They worked in silence. Outside, rain fell. Inside, foundations shifted. Neither woman acknowledged it. Both felt it completely. Lightning cracked the sky. A tree near the quarters exploded. Fire, screams, chaos. Edward limped into the storm. Rain lashed his face. He shouted orders, moved debris. His leg gave out in the mud. Amara caught him. Her strength surprised him. Together they pulled a child from the wreckage, carried her toward the kitchen. Thunder drowned their words. In the kitchen, candles flickered. Wet, breathing hard, they set the child with her mother. Thank you, Edward said. His voice was raw. For what? For helping, for being here. His eyes found hers. You've changed how I see this place. Amara felt her throat tighten. Don't say things you don't mean. I mean it. He stepped closer. You've changed how I see my people, my land, myself. Your people. The words were sharp. We're not yours. I know. God help me. I'm starting to know. The silence stretched. Rain hammered the roof. Their clothes dripped. The space between them felt charged. Electric. She passed him a candle. Their fingers brushed. The contact lingered. Neither pulled away. This is dangerous, she whispered. I know. For both of us. I know. His voice was rough. But I can't unsee you. The storm roared, inside them, around them, Between them. She stepped back. The moment broke. Edward searched his father's study for financial records. Dust-coated forgotten shelves. He found ledgers hidden behind law books, opened them. Numbers, names, ages, prices, not crops, people. His father hadn't just owned a plantation. He'd trafficked human beings, sold families, split children from mothers for profit. The neat columns detailed transactions, commodities, assets. Edward's hands shook. The room tilted. These numbers represented screams, separations, souls crushed under economics. His family fortune wasn't built on tobacco alone. It was built on buying and selling flesh, on treating human hearts as inventory. He sank into the chair. Nausea rose. The careful story he'd told himself about necessary discipline and inherited responsibility crumbled. He'd been lying. His father had been evil, and he'd inherited that evil. Margaret found him hours later, pale, shaking, papers scattered. "Edward, we were never just farmers," he whispered. "Father traded people, separated families, for money." She saw the ledgers. Her breath caught. "Oh, God. I'm built on their suffering." His voice broke. "Everything I own is soaked in blood." Margaret knelt beside him. No words came. What could she say? The fire crackled. Edward clutched a letter detailing the sale of a mother away from her children. Extra profit for the separation. He wanted to burn it all, but burning wouldn't change truth. Night fell. Edward sought Amara in the kitchen. She was kneading bread. He stopped in the doorway. She looked up. "I found something," he said. She waited, silent. "My father's ledgers. He didn't just own slaves. He traded them, families, children." His voice cracked. "Everything I have comes from that." "I know." Her voice was flat. "You knew. All masters trade flesh. Yours just wrote it down." She returned to the bread. "Why are you telling me?" "Because your judgment matters." "My judgment." She laughed, sharp, bitter. "Why?" "Because you're the only honest person here." She faced him fully. "You bleed from paper. We bleed from flesh." The words cut. Edward's chest tightened. "I'm sorry." "Sorry means nothing." "What do you want me to say?" "Nothing." Her eyes found his. "Sorrow without action is just noise. Your father's evil doesn't become yours unless you continue it. But continuing it while feeling bad changes nothing." "Tell me what to do." "I can't." She turned away. "You have to decide who you are, what you'll risk, what you'll sacrifice." "I want to change." "Then change." Her voice was hard. "But don't ask me to comfort you for discovering what I've always known." She left him. The bread sat unfinished. The kitchen felt vast and empty. Edward stood alone, her words echoing, paper and flesh, sorrow and action. He had to choose. 3 days later, in the tobacco rows, Josiah staged his test. An enslaved man fumbled his bundle. Josiah struck him across the face. "Clumsy bastard," Josiah said. His whip uncoiled. The man fell to his knees. Blood dripped from his mouth. Others watched, silent, afraid. Josiah raised the whip. "Need to learn respect." Edward arrived, saw it, felt rage and fear collide. "Cutter, stop." Josiah paused. "Sir?" "Lower the whip." He was careless. "Lower it." Edward's voice shook. "That's enough." Josiah smiled. Cold. Knowing. "Yes, sir. For now." He walked away. The man scrambled up, fled. Edward stood in the rows. He'd intervened, but not stopped it, not challenged the system, just delayed the violence. Amara watched from the garden. Disappointment filled her face. Their eyes met across the yard. Her expression said everything. Not enough. Still not enough. Edward felt her judgment like a whip across his own back. That evening, Josiah left the field smirking. Edward watched him go, realized his half-measures pleased no one, helped no one, changed nothing. "You think you're better than your father?" Josiah had whispered before leaving. "You're just weaker." Edward stood alone as dusk fell. Workers moved to the quarters. Amara vanished into the house without looking back. He'd failed. Again. Sunday came bright and clear. Reverend Silas Pike arrived in his black coat. His voice filled the house during morning service. "God ordains masters and servants," Pike intoned, "each to their proper place. To resist is sin." Edward sat in the front pew. Every word stabbed. Margaret sat beside him, noticed his clenched jaw, his white knuckles. In the back, Amara stood with other enslaved workers. She heard how faith was weaponized, how scripture became chains. "Obedient hearts please the Lord," Pike said. "Disobedient hearts invite damnation." Edward's stomach turned. His father had hosted this preacher, paid him, used his sermons to justify trafficking. "Question not your station," Pike continued, "for God himself has placed you there." Amara's eyes found Edward's over the bowed heads. Her gaze asked a silent question. "Whose obedience do you value now?" Edward looked away first. Shame burned through him. After service, Pike shook Edward's hand. "Your household is well ordered. Your father would be proud." Edward's throat tightened. "Thank you, Reverend." "Maintain that order. These are troubled times. Masters must be firm." Edward nodded, said nothing. Inside, he was screaming. Pike left. Margaret found Edward on the porch. He was shaking. "That sermon," she whispered, "was evil." His voice was flat. "Dressed in prayer." She touched his arm, said nothing. Sometimes silence said everything. 2 days later, Josiah planted a silver spoon in Amara's belongings, then discovered it during a search. "Thief!" he shouted in the yard. Both house and field workers gathered. Amara stood silent. She knew denial meant nothing. "Punishment's clear," Josiah said. His whip uncoiled. 20 lashes. Margaret's voice came from the porch. "Wait. Ma'am, are you certain she took it?" "Found it in her things myself." Josiah's smile was cruel. "Can't have stealing. Sets a bad example." Edward appeared, saw Amara's bound hands, saw Josiah's raised whip, saw the gathered crowd. He stepped between them. "Stop. Sir, this accusation is rash." Edward's voice was hard. "I've seen no thieving behavior. The evidence could be planted." Edward met Josiah's eyes. "Lower that whip." The silence stretched. Josiah's face flushed, but he lowered the whip, slowly, hatred burning in his eyes. "She's cleared?" someone whispered. "No punishment," Edward said. "Not today." Josiah's smile was cold. "Careful, master. You'll make them think they're worth saving." The crowd dispersed. Amara stood unbound, uncleared, unwashed of suspicion. Edward had protected her, but not freed her from accusation. "Thank you," she said quietly. "It's not enough." His voice was rough. "I know it's not enough." She walked away. He watched her go. Josiah watched them both. The overseer's smile promised retribution. Edward began writing letters, discreet, careful, to a lawyer 2 counties away, asking about manumission, legal requirements, obstacles. He worked late, hid documents in his desk. Margaret discovered him one night. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Research." "On what?" "Freeing them." His voice was low. "Amara, others. Legally." Margaret's breath caught. "Edward, that's dangerous, I know." His eyes found hers. "But what's the alternative?" "Ruin, exile, possibly death." "I know." He returned to his writing. "Help me or don't, but I'm doing this." The silence stretched. Then Margaret sat. "Tell me what you need." In the quarters, Mama Lila cornered Amara. "Something's changing. Can you feel it?" "Yes." "The master. He's different." Amara's hand stilled. "Different doesn't mean safe. If he offered freedom, real freedom, what would you do?" The question terrified her. "I don't know. Think about it." Lila's voice was urgent. Freedom might be coming. Weeks passed. Letters exchanged. Edward learned about restrictive laws, debts, requirements. The path was narrow, dangerous, possible. He worked late one night, didn't hear Josiah pass, didn't see the study door left slightly open, didn't know his letters were glimpsed. Josiah saw one word clearly: freedom. His smile was ice. Amara overheard them in the yard. Josiah, a neighboring planter, low voices, her name. "The troublemaker," Josiah said. "Better sold south." Her chest tightened. Fear, cold and familiar, flooded through her. "When?" the planter asked. "Soon, before the master interferes further." Amara slipped away. Her hands shook. Sold south meant death, slow or fast, always death. Edward was in town, miles away. She had no protection, no voice, no power. She returned to her pallet, pulled out a small cloth bundle. Inside, a button from her mother's dress, the last piece of family she owned. "I was a fool," she whispered. "To hope." Mama Lila found her. "What happened?" "Josiah's selling me south, soon." Lila's face went gray. "Does Mr. Hale know?" "He's gone. Won't return until tomorrow." Amara's voice broke. "Maybe." "We'll hide you." "Where? They'll find me. Punish anyone who helped." Amara clutched the button. "It's over." Outside, horses approached. Was it Edward or the buyer? Amara couldn't move, couldn't breathe. She waited. Terror choking her. The button pressed into her palm. Edward returned at dawn, found preparations underway, papers, a buyer, Josiah directing it all. "What is this?" Edward's voice cut across the yard. "Selling the troublemaker," Josiah said, "before she causes more problems." "On whose authority?" "Yours. I'm the overseer. It's my job." "You're fired." The words came clear, final, loud enough for everyone to hear. Josiah's face went white. "Sir, you heard me. Get off my land." "You're making a mistake." Josiah's voice dropped. "For her? A piece of property? Get out. Now." The buyer left, confused, angry. Josiah gathered his things. His face was stone. Hatred burned in his eyes. "You free them," he said. "You fall with them. The whole county will know. You'll lose everything." "Then I'll lose everything." Edward's voice didn't waver. Josiah left. The yard was silent. Workers watched. Stunned. Margaret stood on the porch, pale, proud. Amara emerged from the quarters, saw Edward, saw the empty space where Josiah had been. She walked toward him, stopped. "You saved me from being sold." "Yes, but I'm still owned." Her eyes found his. "If you mean to finish what you started, then do it. Free me, even if it means losing all of this." The challenge hung between them. Edward's hands shook. He had to choose. Now, finally. Edward walked the plantation that night, big house to fields to quarters, seeing everything with new eyes. He found Mama Lila. "Tell me your story." She did. Others gathered, told theirs, families separated, violence endured, hope deferred. Edward listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't excuse. "I can't undo it," he said finally, "but I can stop continuing it." "How?" Lila asked. "Free you. Sell land to pay debts. Accept whatever comes." The silence was thick. No one believed him. Everyone wanted to. He returned to the house, gathered Margaret and Amara, called some key families, stood before them. "I'm freeing Amara," he said, "and others who want to go. Selling land to make it legal. It'll ruin me, but I can't be who I was anymore. He placed papers in Amara's hands. Her manumission, a purse of coins. No conditions. You owe me nothing. Amara stared at the papers. Her hands shook, her breath caught. Why now? Because you asked me to finish it, to decide what you are. His voice was rough. You're a person, free. That's all you ever were. Tears fell. She couldn't stop them. Freedom, real freedom, on paper, in law. I don't have to stay? She whispered. No. She stood, walked to the threshold, looked back once, saw Edward, broken, honest, bankrupt of everything except truth. She stepped into the night, a free woman, the door closed behind her. Months passed, fields sold, workers dispersed, lawsuits filed, the plantation shrank. Edward endured it. Social exile, threats, Reverend Pike's cold sermons about disorder and judgment. Margaret stayed, managed what remained. Do you regret it? She asked one evening. No. You've lost everything. I've lost money, land, status. His voice was quiet. I gained my soul back. He continued the work, freed others, sold assets to cover costs, lived with the weight of what he couldn't fix. The past couldn't be changed, but the future could. He traveled to a port town on business. The docks teemed with life, ships, vendors, free people moving with purpose. His gaze drifted, stopped. Amara. She stood with a group of free black families, teaching children, laughing, her posture light, unburdened. Edward's heart stuttered. He hadn't expected this, seeing her free, happy, without him. She looked up, saw him, froze. He didn't approach, didn't assume, just stood, waiting for permission to exist in her world. Slowly, she walked toward him, each step deliberate. Edward, she said, his name, not master, not sir. Amara. The silence stretched, then she smiled. They sat by the water. Ships rocked in the harbor. Gulls cried overhead. You look different, she said. I am different. Poorer. Her voice held humor, warmth. Much poorer. He smiled. Freer, too. She studied him. Why are you here? Business, small trade. He hesitated. I've continued freeing people, where I can. Have you? Margaret helps. We sold the main house, kept a small cottage, used the money for manumissions. His eyes found hers. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Good, because I'm not offering it. But I'm asking for a future, if you'll consider it. Amara's breath caught. What kind of future? One where we're equals, where you choose, where I'm not master. His voice was rough. Where we build, something neither of us has ever seen. That's a lot to ask. I know. She was silent, watching boats, thinking. Finally, what have you done since I left? He told her. Families freed, land sold, status lost. She listened, weighed his words against his actions. You didn't do it to win me back, she said. No, I did it because it was right. Something shifted in her expression. You really changed. I'm trying to. She stood, extended her hand. Walk with me. He took it. They walked along the docks, two people, free, choosing. I'm not promising anything, she said. I'm not asking for promises. Just a future? Just a chance? She smiled. Then let's see where it goes. They walked away from the plantation, toward something new, uncertain, free, together.